You're welcome. You're watching ABC News GH. This is Executive Interview with me, Abna Mante. Today we bring you some conversation, very important conversation about women, about children, about the youth, and overall about sustainability. For the world to persist, for the world to continue, for the world to live, we need to be sustainable in our living as a people. And some very key components or demographics in our sustainability, you can't take away women. And obviously, you can't take away children. And at the very height of it, I dare say you can't take away the youth, because the youth make up a very large portion of the world's population. And so for our world to persist, it is important that all of these factors are looked at. And so today, our conversation is centering on that, and I have with me Sandra Paye. She is the program officer at Africa Women and Children Conference, AFRICWOCC. Hi, Sandra. How are you?
I'm okay.
Wonderful. I'm doing well. You're looking lovely and in your purplish fuchsia, will I call it? And since we're in October, well, happy Pinktober to us as women.
You too, thank you.
So, for our world, it's very important. For a while now, we've been talking about children in many conversations, women, and also the youth. We keep saying that give the youth the platform. As AFRICWOCC, how important are these three demographics to you? Children, women, the youth.
Well, let me just take it one after the other. As a continent, we are a young continent. In fact, the median age is around 15 years old, and by 2030, research indicates that we would be about 42% of the global population.
Okay.
So I can say that, the future is young Africans. And it is important for us as AFRICWOCC that young people are part of the conversation when we're talking about everything else within the continent. We're talking about climate change, sustainability, economy, everything, because invariably they are those that are going to have to lead the change within our communities. When it comes to women play a very important role. In fact, when you empower women, the kind of effects that we see are, ripple effects. So when a woman is empowered in the home, the children are well taken care of, everybody is okay. So for an inclusive development, you need women to be a part of the conversation. And it's just not about saying that we are giving them opportunity to vote as well, or we're hearing them talk, but then we are actually listening and then giving them, a room on the table so that their decisions are also factored, in all of the conversations that, we're having. So yes, it's extremely important.
To give them the voice, to give them the room at the table. I mean, I don't think it is out of place to talk about these things in our current dispensation. Some people feel, why are you still talking about these things? They're already children in school, girl children in school, and so women have already been given a seat at the table. Why are you still hammering on it? And so I'm very happy that there's a program like this where we keep placing emphasis on women, on children, and the youth. But now let's come to AFRICWOCC and the work you do there. Why AFRICWOCC? What is it?
So AFRICWOCC was initiated in 2023. It's part of the many things that Her Excellency, the former Second Lady, Samira Baumia, has been doing. It was an initiative to create a platform to talk about pertinent issues concerning women and children, on the continent. So it is important that we highlight the voices of these demographics when it comes to global conversations and even continental conversations across all sectors. And so AFRICWOCC is sort of creating that opportunity for that to happen. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm quite familiar with her literary work that she does, where she calls for writers to bring their work, and it was I know someone who won or was part of the top
winners.
winners. Yeah, so that's beautiful. So now let's look at AFRICWOCC. You talk about 2023, and so that's about 2 years ago.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about your first conference that you had.
Our first conference was really exciting because, I mean, of course, it's an inaugural conference, so we had a lot of people being interested in it. So the theme was on amplifying the voices of women and children in climate action. So the conversations were strictly around climate change, women and children. We had the honor of hosting key persons, including His Excellency, the former President of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. We had the honor of having Her Excellency Amina J. Mohammed, who is the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations. We had goodwill message from Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who is the director for the World Trade Organization. We had ministers. We had minister from South Africa, Honorable Nkosazana Dlamini. So we really had like key personalities being part of the conference in 2023. And then following that, there were key outcomes, or what we call communique actions. And we took these communique through a lot of engagement. So for instance, one of the key outcomes was the need to increase awareness when it comes to climate change, when it comes to sustainability. So we took these conversations to the Africa Climate Summit, and then following that we progressed to the COP28 in Dubai. We worked with the United Nations Regional Office for Africa, where we supported about 48 young Africans to be part of the conversations at the COP28 in Dubai. And in fact, it was the very first time we had such huge numbers of young Africans participating in the conference at that level. And one of the key outcomes too was the need for us to invest in youth, in women.
Okay.
And so it is against that backdrop that we, had the idea for the theme, Young Voices, Innovative Ideas, Greater Impacts for Africa, for AFRICWOCC 2025.
So that's what I was going to come to. That's a very beautiful theme, Young Voices, Innovative Ideas, and Greater Impact for Africa. Indeed, young people, the most innovative ideas you would find with them, the exploring of the environment that any young person lives in, regardless of the limited resources they have. And looking at how effective or successful your first edition was, now that you're coming up with Young Voices, Innovative Ideas, and Greater Impact, what is the focus for this theme? What are you expecting to pinpoint or to achieve at the end of this year's conference?
So what makes this conference unique, and do I say very dynamic, is on the focus. We are at a crossroad as a continent. So we're at a point where we have a total shift in terms of demographics to young people. Like I mentioned earlier, we have young Africans projecting to be 42% of the global population. But then we also have increasing climate impacts. And although we're a continent that contributes less to the global emissions, we are the continent that suffers most.
Yeah.
So if we are predominantly a young continent, how are we empowering young people to address climate change, to take action when it comes to the climate crisis? So the focus is on two key things. First one is empowering youth leadership, particularly women. And then the second thing is empowering them through resources, whether through finance or different accelerator programs, to support them in what they are doing when it comes to climate change and sustainability.
Right. We'll look at the dates for the program. But for anybody who's watching us and so far their interest has been piqued about this year's conference, what are the most peculiar things they would be interacting with or they would enjoy if they come for AFRICWOCC 2025?
The sessions are going to be really exciting, and so unfortunately, in-person registration is closed. And let me just chip in by saying we sincerely apologize to everybody we will not be able to accommodate for in-person participation. We had overwhelming numbers, but then we cannot accommodate everybody. So kindly join us virtually. In terms of the activities, we're going to have panel discussions. We're going to have innovation labs or breakout sessions.
Okay.
We're going to have innovation pitches. We're going to have fireside conversations. The panel discussions will focus on aligning AU Agenda 2063 and then youth in leadership when it comes to our climate goals. We're going to have a panel around entrepreneurship, innovation, and sustainability.
Right.
So sort of like connecting these three. And then we're going to have another panel around accelerating Africa's clean cooking. And then the last one will be around climate action and the creative arts. So we see musicians, we see, all of these different art forms. How are we going to leverage those, to make real impact when it comes to climate change and sustainability?
Well, this looks like a very 360 packed program. You're not leaving any stone unturned.
At all.
Well, you say that in person is closed, but what about those who can join online, who can participate by watching TV?
Yes. So you need to visit our website and register, because the open plenaries, of course, you can easily watch them on our YouTube channels and social media handles.
Well, then we'll be taking it live on ABC News.
Thank you. But then there are going to be innovation labs or the breakout sessions, and these are concurrent sessions. We cannot be streaming one session at the same time. All of the sessions at the same time. There are going to be breakout rooms. So to effectively, take part in the conversation, you need to be able to sign up so that we can share some of the links to the rooms with you.
Okay.
And then you can participate. So for instance, we are having an innovation lab around demystifying public policy, the whole process, the what and then the whys. And we are doing this with Merton and Everett. They are partners for that session. We are going to have a session around gender responsive climate governance as a pathway to a just transition. And we are doing this with SIGRA project, which is a project being implemented by Cowater International and being funded by Global Affairs Canada. And we're going to have another breakout around innovation, AI and artificial intelligence when it comes to climate solutions. There's going to be a breakout on funding to scale. How do you, as a young innovator, design a business model to attract the kind of investment you need as a young person?
Okay.
So these are all dynamic conversations that are going to happen concurrently as the event is ongoing. And if you don't sign up with us for us to have your email, we will not be able to give you the links to the breakout rooms when all of these things are happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about fast. We'll come back to the link that they can use to register on your website. But you talk about fireside conversations. This will mean that you give the youth who will be at the program the opportunity to also speak, to also share their thoughts. How are you going to translate their very important views into future projects? You talk about how from the 2023 conference you're able to channel them into the COP28 in Dubai. And so for this year's, what is the focus from the conversations, especially the fireside?
So we have a fireside because we felt that we needed to have a more intimate conversation with a young innovator who has been through the process,
Okay.
Who has gone through the mill, has gone through all the frustrations that comes with starting as a young person and then eventually scaling and even getting funding to support projects. So from this conversation, we are hoping that the young individuals present would be inspired to continue what they're doing.
Okay.
Because we keep saying that young people have to be entrepreneurial, young people have to be innovative.
Mm-hmm.
But then how much are we talking about the challenges young people are facing as they are being entrepreneurial, as they are being innovative? So we hope that this conversation would contribute in terms of the overall outcome of inspiring young people, to continue what they are doing. But then also for them to understand the nuances or the complexities that comes with starting an enterprise as a young person, and how to maneuver the processes in terms of dealing with stakeholders, dealing with government, CSOs, and I can say angel investors or organizations that may be interested in your work. And then from this, we know that it would contribute to the entire communique of the conference in terms of what we need to focus on as a country, but then also as a continent when it comes to young people and innovation, in order for us to see the kind of change we want, particularly in us realizing an aspiration of an inclusive development within the agenda 2063.
Well, I ask this because more often than not, many people have become quite desensitized to conferences such as these, because it feels like it's just a talk program. We come, we listen, we go, and then it's a never-ending cycle of attending conferences, and people come and share what we should do, and then that is it. And so for AFRICWOCC 2025, we're really interested in how it is going to be practical, how it is going to very much influence the young person's life, so that when they go and you need testimonials that are very indicative indicators that I can point to this, that it was through AFRICWOCC that I started this, and it's not just the talk I listened to and then I went home and I couldn't really translate it into my life.
That is really an interesting one. In fact, part of the reasons why this year's conference we decided not to have like the regular breakout where it's just facilitated conversations and then we are doing it in innovation labs is because we wanted people to leave the conference with something tangible, so that if you participate in an innovation lab around funding to scale, that as you live there, you would understand, or you would know how to design a business model as a young person to for investor confidence. So that is just one of it. But then most importantly, we're looking forward to engaging key stakeholders in terms of having youth representation in policy. How do we do this? So we need to have ministers commit to saying that, okay, can we have youth councils in some of these conversations so that we can pick their thoughts on some of these key issues. Another thing that we're looking forward to doing is to connecting with partners who are already doing something within the space. For instance, those doing something around those running accelerator labs or pipeline programs to support young entrepreneurs. So we are hoping that following this conference we're able to bridge that gap. How best can we support young people to take advantage of these already existing opportunities? But it also for us is AFRICWOCC, part of our strategic plan for the next 5 years is to focus on clean cooking, especially because our chair has a lot of interest in it, and she's been a clean cooking ambassador for a very long time. We need to drive the conversation at home. We need to start from somewhere. How are we designing policies to reflect that in terms of our ambitions as a country towards accelerating clean cooking access? How are we driving conversations in terms of its impact on women and then children and all of that? So it's not just going to be just the normal talks, but then there's going to be one that will come with some key outcomes and impacts following the conference.
Now let's take a look at the speakers. We've talked about the breakout rooms, the fireside and all, and you mentioned the speakers that were there, those who graced the occasion in 2023. Very huge names, very important people that many look up to. And so for 2025, who are we looking at receiving at AFRICWOCC?
So we're looking at having a keynote from His Excellency Wamkele Mene, who is the Secretary General for the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Yes, also we are partnering with them to host a session around the AFTA agreement and how it can be leveraged to de-risk agriculture investments.
Okay.
Also, we're looking forward to having the High Commissioner of Canada to Ghana, Her Excellency Montserrat. We're also looking forward to having the United Nations Residence Coordinator. We are looking forward to having ministers, the minister in charge of environment and mineral development from Uganda, Fiona Nyamuturo. We're also looking forward to having Honorable Jami Diallo, who is the Minister of Environment in Guinea. We're looking forward to having Valerie Diop, who is in charge of sustainability and innovation at the West Africa Development Bank. So we have quite a number of speakers gracing the occasion to share their expertise with us.
Wonderful. Yeah. And so for those who have registered, what are we looking at? Is it just Ghanaian youth or Ghanaian women who have registered for the conference, or we're looking at many youth and women from across Africa coming for the program?
Yes, we have a lot of interest, continent-wide. For the in-person, of course, it's understandable because you are hosting in Ghana. Then it means we have a lot of Ghanaians being able to attend in person, but we do have also a lot of individuals from across the continent joining us virtually, and we are confident to making the experience worthwhile for them.
Wow. Since we now talk about virtually, how do we register for those of us who cannot make it in person? How do we register so that when it's time for the breakout session, we can find a room to join?
Yes, you'd have to visit our website, www.afriwocc.org. All the information about AFRICWOCC and the conference would be there. And yes, they'll hear from us once they register.
Interesting. And so when is it happening? AFRICWOCC 2025. From everything you've said, it's interesting. We would love to be there. How, whether in person or as online audiences?
It's going to happen on the 7th of October 2025 at the Labadi Beach Hotel. Yes. It's a 2-day conference. It's going to be really exciting, so I'm encouraging everybody to visit our website, register, and then join us. You can follow us on our social media handles. On Facebook, it is Africa Women and Children Conference. Instagram and X or Twitter, it is AFRICWOCC.
On Instagram and Twitter, AFRICWOCC. When we say young people, we see that many of them love Instagram and Twitter or X. Well, Sandra, thank you so much for giving us all of this information on the Africa Women and Children's Conference 2025. I'm very much excited about the theme: young voices, innovative ideas, and greater impact for Africa. And like you said, the world's population is going to be really more about African youth, and so we must make sure that we are equipped to ensure that we are matching up, we are leading the conversation. And viewers, we will be showing the conference live on ABC News GH, and so you don't want to miss out on that at all. When you register online, you're unable to go to the Labadi Beach Hotel and you register online to join AFRICWOCC. You can watch on ABC News GH and enjoy all that we'll be bringing in. When it's time for the breakout session, you can join your breakout room. And Sandra, thank you again, once again. Thank you.
Thank you too for having me. It was really great speaking with you about AFRICWOCC.
It was good speaking with you too. And we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Come 6th and 7th of October. We're looking forward to all of the innovative ideas that the young people come up with, and seeing how in 2026, 2027 is a biennial conference. You do even more than you'll be doing this year. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you.
Sandra Paye is the program officer at Africa Women and Children Conference. The conference is coming up on 6th and 7th October 2025. You don't want to miss out on that at all. And here at ABC News GH, rest assured, we will be bringing you the live conference, and so you can enjoy it virtually here on ABC News GH. This is Executive Interview on ABC News GH. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Abuna Mante. Enjoy the rest of our program.